Good morning on this memorial of St. Barnabas, who we will focus on this morning. Take a little break from our prophet readings. Again, sometimes in the church, whenever a saint of the early church is also associated with scripture, the church will often use their reference point in scripture for the readings for the Mass for today. Excuse me. And so we have St. Barnabas, who's mentioned many times in the Acts of the Apostles. And the church, while he's mentioned first in Acts chapter 4, we're told he's also named Joseph and that he's a Levite, so he's from the priestly class. The church gives us Acts chapter 11, where they tell us a little bit more about Barnabas. We also know that his name means son of encouragement. So a little bit prophetic there, because Barnabas is often a companion of St. Paul, of Mark, and probably others as well. And maybe that's one of the things we can take away from the feast day of St. Barnabas is the importance of encouragement and encouragement in each other in our discipleship. And sometimes we have this, maybe coming from our kind of being Americans type of individuality in a sense of, my relationship between me and my God is me and my God alone, and I don't need the church. I think there's a lot of devout people in the way of the Lord who kind of think like this, and often they don't participate in worship on Sundays, not involved in the parish. It's kind of like, let me just go do my own thing and move on. But we all need encouragement. We all need someone to kind of hold us accountable. I think that's another big thing. Like in the Gospels, Jesus sends the disciples out two by two. The idea is that we need each other. And each other we got to consider not as a hindrance to God, but as a gift from God. Like God has put these people in our lives, and we should make full use of them. Not in a manipulative way, of course, but again in a way of encouragement. It's Barnabas who also is like kind of bringing St. Paul into the fold, and again the two are very close for a while. That's the other thing I always like to take away from this feast day. They were close, they were great companions, they worked together, but then something happened around, I want to say around Acts chapter 15, 16, in that area, where we're told that St. Paul and Barnabas have a disagreement, a strong disagreement concerning Mark. In a previous journey, Mark was a companion of Paul and Barnabas. He went on their way, but then Mark left them. We don't know why he left them. We don't know the reason. But apparently when Mark left Paul and Barnabas, it put them in a tough spot, maybe in terms of ministering and ministry, whatever. Now on their second journey, Barnabas wants to bring Mark along again, and St. Paul doesn't. I always imagine St. Paul being difficult to live with, very, very devout, very, as we know, very headstrong in the ways of the law. It took the risen Christ to knock him to the ground, to show him the true way. And St. Paul, very, very zealous. But I don't know, maybe St. Paul thought Mark couldn't be trusted, whatever the reason is. But the agreement between Barnabas and Paul over this was so strong that they went their separate ways. And for the rest of the Acts of the Apostles, we never hear of them being ever together again. And, sometimes that can happen in ministry too, where we have people in our lives, but then for whatever reason, they're no longer in our lives. And that happens, It happens naturally. Sometimes people move. Sometimes, circumstances happen where we're just not in their presence. And sometimes we got to accept that too and say, okay, well, God, like, what new person now are you going to bring into my life? And it happens throughout our whole lives. Sometimes we have friends, that last forever. They were friends since we were kids. And then others, we go our separate ways, whether intentionally because of a disagreement or because something, natural circumstances happen. But the good news in all this is that in the separation, what do we have now? Well, we have St. Paul going his own way preaching the gospel, and Barnabas going his way preaching the gospel. you know. And so from the division and disagreement, God is still able to work in that. And the good news and the gospel message is spreading even further now to the corners of the earth, so to speak. So sometimes God can also take, what it is that's dividing us and make good out of it as well. In the long run, God wins. So in the name of Barnabas, let us encourage one another, and always just seek encouragement. When things seem down, encourage one another, trust in the Lord, and God is in control. May God bless you.